In this week's Louisiana Speaks, we introduce you to the man charged with leading Louisiana's energy sector into the future. Mike Mazzola is the new executive director of the statewide program known as FUEL, or Future Use of Energy in Louisiana. He'll help steer a $160 million grant from the National Science Foundation to help the state develop clean energy practices and develop more renewable energy sources. So we are talking about Louisiana's energy transition, and joining me is the new executive director, Mike Mazzola of FUEL. Welcome, first of all. So for the uninitiated, what is FUEL?
Well, first, thank you, Karen, for having me today. FUEL is an acronym for Future Use of Energy in Louisiana. And we are one of 10 inaugural Innovation Engine Awards from the National Science Foundation. And this is big news. It's not just big news in Louisiana, it's big news in the country, because this program is the largest program in the National Science Foundation's history.
And we're talking, what, $160 million in federal funds plus some state funds, right?
That's right. For Louisiana alone, we have the opportunity to receive up to $160 million over 10 years from the federal government. And the Louisiana Economic Development has already pledged over $60 million in matching funds to support the program.
So these funds will go to help push Louisiana into its energy evolution and transition. When we talk about energy evolution and energy transition, what is that?
Globally, by 2050, there are very, very solemn and important agreements that the United States is also a part of that says that energy economy will, to the greatest extent possible, be net zero in carbon emissions. You set a goal worldwide to decarbonize the energy economy by 2050. That's 30 short years away or less.
It seems quite ambitious.
It's the most difficult technology-based effort in human history. No question about it. So it's not just the electricity grid, which is where most people have started decarbonizing and perhaps where we're the furthest along. We can't just look at one segment or another of the energy economy. We have to look at all of it, but each part of it is different. And so there are parts of the energy economy that are considered to be very difficult to decarbonize. So what do we mean by carbon? We mean principally carbon dioxide emissions, which comes naturally from burning oil and gas. So we have kind of a challenge here in Louisiana. We want to continue the prosperity. We want to continue the benefits that come from this fantastic energy industry, that, as well as derivative industries like petrochemical and many other products that are derivative of the oil and gas production. But we have to do it smartly. And so that's what FUEL is about. And I've said before, the smartest thing about that FUEL acronym is the first letter, future, because what we're doing is future-proofing the energy industry in Louisiana.
So how do we future-proof Louisiana's energy industry?
Some of them, which I'll mention, such as carbon dioxide enhanced oil recovery, CO2 EOR, is a process that's already commercially viable. And in fact, the Gulf region is a world leader in producing oil from this CO2 EOR process. Now, what the clever thing about CO2 EOR is, it's a carbon capture process in which you use CO2 not as a pollutant or a negative thing, but as a crucial chemical that, when pumped into the ground, dissolves stuck oil. The oil and the CO2 comes up, they recycle it. They pump it back in the ground. And the net result is that more CO2 ends up stored forever in the ground than would be released by burning the oil that you produce. It is a net negative carbon process that still produces fossil fuel. So that's an example of how the future is right in front of us. We're already using it. So we need one of the technical areas of fuel will be to expand that process, make it even more feasible to be used around the country and around the world.
What about renewable energies? What are we doing in that area?
So the Economic Development Administration, EDA, which is part of the U.S. Department of Commerce, has a sister program called the Tech Hubs. And Louisiana was also awarded Tech Hub status. And what is our topic there? Offshore wind. Even if we never build a wind turbine in the Gulf of Mexico, there are thousands upon thousands of wind turbines that have already been ordered to be installed globally. So there's a global established commercial market. And building those components is an opportunity for more good-paying jobs in Louisiana. Solar and wind are part of the solution, but decarbonizing the industry that Louisiana depends upon has got to be the number one part of that solution.
So when we talk about hydrogen as an alternative fuel, what is that and where does that fit into our overall energy evolution?
Hydrogen is now emerging as being the clean energy way to keep all of that infrastructure, but just transition it. And in fact, hydrogen is really cool because you can blend it with natural gas, and we can eventually achieve, once we've upgraded all the systems necessary, to potentially use 100% hydrogen, but we don't have to start with 100% hydrogen. So producing hydrogen is recognized as an emerging critical technology that will help us decarbonize the entire economy. And by the way, the Gulf Coast region is one of the largest producers of hydrogen in the country. So we have the potential to export hydrogen to other parts of the country, and again, future-proof our energy business here in Louisiana.
Final thoughts before we go.
We can be so proud in Louisiana for what we've accomplished. We are on the national stage. We have demonstrated around the country that one of the most innovative places in America is right here. And our people and our infrastructure and our institutions can compete with anybody.